Sure.
Let's say that you're talking to someone coming from the Bitcoin space, because I think that that tends to be where THORChain is kind of focused on getting,
Yeah.
people migrated over, because it's just, there's a lot of reasons, obviously, but one of the big ones is that I think THORChain ideals really line up with Bitcoiner ideals. So let's say that you're talking to someone who's very familiar with Bitcoin, and that's kind of all they enjoy, and loosely throw around the term maxi, that they just love Bitcoin, they love the decentralization of it. Where would you point them first? What do you get them kind of interested in to go down the rabbit hole when it comes to THORChain?
I'm trying to think about what we actually, what article I sent over to, what was his name? Dot Kruger. Because he was doing good work for the lending for Bitcoin, quote unquote maxis. Again, like, I feel like I wouldn't point them to one particular option. This is what you want to do, because that's very isolating and like exclusionary. Um, Again, like I don't know, to each his own. And I feel like I see Bitcoin maxis, and I get it. I totally understand, but again, like that doesn't pinhole every single one of them having the same interest in like we've all seen Celsius. We've all seen all of those guys just completely shit the bed. Sorry for the language, but on earning yield. So like, if that stuff didn't happen, I would suggest the savers, man. Like you want low risk. If you're a Bitcoin maxi, you want to hold your Bitcoin and you want it to go up in price over the years. And if you earn yield on it, great. If you don't, so what? You own Bitcoin, and that's awesome. So it's difficult to point anyone in a particular direction, but to provide options, there's savers. It's not the sexiest, but it does work. And if one is to be open-minded enough to read and learn about the mechanisms behind savers and how synthetic assets are used, that's where I would point, just because it's super low risk, and it's the closest, I would say, to keeping your Bitcoin as safe as possible. And you don't have any other exposure to ruin or anything like that. Then that's probably not something that somebody Bitcoin would want, maybe. But again, at the same time, there's other options as well. So I don't know. I would go savers, but again, I feel like I'm an old man sometimes. So I don't like to push someone beyond where they want to be. I like to meet students where they're at. So that's probably where I would start. And, and then we can branch out further. Again, I always think of my former students, and it's best to meet them where they are. So that's, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did. And, one thing I've always liked about savers and the way it's kind of set up is, you mentioned, high yield savings accounts earlier when you were just talking about your general financial journey. And that's how I've kind of viewed them since the beginning, is like, in the real world, you can have cash and you can store it under your mattress. And if that makes you sleep better at night, then so be it.
Totally. Yeah.
And some people, they don't want their cash just sitting under the mattress. They want it sitting in a bank and paying them whatever, 3 to 5% a year.
And the analogy works. It's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing with your Bitcoin. You could put it in your ledger and put that ledger under your pillow and sleep really well at night, knowing that your Bitcoin's safe, in your own hands, and you're solely responsible for it. Or you can, take a little bit of counterparty risk. And if you trust the, quote unquote bank, which in this case would be THORChain, you put it in the protocol and you earn a few percent a year. And that's
the great thing about THORChain is that, like, it solves the solvency issue, the verifiability of it. You at any point in time, you can go to see what is there, as opposed to, let's say, Celsius, for instance, which also, high yield interested accounts or whatever. You can see your asset. It exists on the blockchain. So that helps a lot. It's, in grad school, I worked at a fine dining restaurant, and the food is delicious. And pretty much the food sold itself. You didn't have to like talk it up. So that's another thing that is really easy about teaching THORChain, is that the features sell themselves, in that it's everything you want is available to you. Like, if you want to see the solvency, checking your solvency, you can do that. And we can teach you how. If you couldn't do that, that'd be a problem. So, like, it would be a problem selling that, selling that feature. So I think that's another thing that really helps THORChain is that it's all there on the blockchain and you can see it. So that also would be, I think, incredibly helpful to Bitcoiner, helping them to sleep at night if they were trying to earn yield.
Yeah, and when I see counter arguments, whether it's on crypto Twitter or elsewhere, against using savers, or obviously the big one that has kind of made the headlines lately that a lot of people are talking about is, putting it in and doing the lending. For example, putting in, say, 10 Bitcoin and then borrowing like 350K from the protocol. A big argument against that I see is, well, how do I know that this is not just one of those other protocols like Terra, Luna, and, Celsius, where it's just going to blow up? And what you're talking about with solvency and verifiability, you have the nodes that are over bonding, and you can see everything happening on chain, that the cash is all there, so to speak. And how would you explain that to somebody who says, well, I just can't sit here and trust the protocol?
This is the woe of a teacher whose students don't do their homework. You can tell who hasn't read the book. Like if you ask a question and they have not read, then you can ask a simple question, and if they didn't read the Medium article we wrote, then they're not going to believe it or understand it or even give it the time of day. The craziest thing about it all is we've written everything that there needs to be written as of yet about the THORChain mechanisms. So it's essentially, if you want to know, then it's there. If you can't be bothered to read a 4-minute article, then the yield won't be yours because you don't want to do it, which is completely fine. It's your prerogative to not want to read. But this is what keeps teachers up at night, is why doesn't anybody want to read? So it's entirely up to the person of who they are and what their interests are and how open they are to learning something new. That's part of the game, man. It's part of being open to new things and bettering your life, improving your livelihood. So I guess it really comes down to, are you willing to open and click on the link that we're going to give you when you respond or give a rebuttal that this doesn't work, and then we send a particular article we've written on Medium that shows you that it does, proven, with mathematics, and also, kind of elementary analogies to help you understand those mathematics. If you don't want to do that, then that's your call, man. So I don't know. If you want to read. If you don't, then you don't get the money.
Right.